Define and define. Define and define. Hackathon, Morales and Google. 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 Define. Hackathon, Morales and Google. Define and define. Hackathon, Morales and Google. Define and define. Hackathon, Morales and Google. Define and define. Hackathon, Morales and Google. 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 Morales and Google.
GM, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, before we get started on episode 1 of the Morales Community Podcast, just shout out to Davide. What a banger of a tune. I can't get used to that theme tune. It blows me away every single time. But anyway, without further ado, welcome to episode 1 of the Morales Community Podcast. You're a part of history. You're here for the kickoff. And this podcast is going to be all about you. I have my lovely partner in crime with me, Phil. Phil, are we here?
That's right, Bill. How are we doing today? Welcome to the Morales Community Web3 Podcast, everybody. So what's this all about? This is your podcast. This is a podcast that's about community development, grassroots development with Morales, bridging Web 2 and Web 3, because that's what we're all about. And we're about doing that in a variety of different ways. We're going to get into it here in just a little bit. At the end of the day, we are going to take questions during this stream. We have some questions that are already prepared. We're going to relax. We're going to have a good time. I've got a black cup of coffee here as well. Feel free, just like the old days, tell me what you're drinking in the chat. Let's hang out for a while. Next up, I want to introduce myself. If you're meeting me for the first time, I'm Phil, your head of events for Morales. Hey, I help organize hackathons and meetups in GatherTown and other events to empower you in your web development journey wherever you are. And then enough about me. I'm joined by Bill. Bill, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Bill. And before anyone asks, yeah, we did think about calling it the Phil and Bill Show, right, Phil? But then we decided that was a bit tacky, right?
I think we're still we're still throwing around ideas.
Yeah,
everything's in flux. You guys tell us in the chat what name you like. Morales Web3 Community Podcast is the working title right now.
yeah, but that's it, man. Like Phil's nailed it. Like, we're kind of here. This is going to be like our thing, not just me and Phil, but like all of the community. We want you to suggest what you want to hear, what you want to know about, and we'll kind of grow this like each week and change things up and try some new features. But I think we got a good kind of show plan for you today. So yeah, hi, I'm Bill, at Bill Gill on Twitter, on the socials, and I'm the lead front end at Morales. Possibly because I'm a good front-end developer, or maybe because I was first in. Who knows? There's no way to tell anymore.
But yeah. Bill's an excellent front-end developer, and we'll get a chance in weeks to come to do some live coding with him and things like that.
No. Live coding? No, I didn't agree to that.
I'll talk him into it, is okay. Maybe what I should say there. But that said, a lot of that content that we're going to bring to the table later on is going to be formed by the questions that you guys bring to the table during this podcast.
Yes. This podcast is definitely all about you. Like, we really want you to be part of this. We want your questions. We want your suggestions. We want actually you to be on the show. Like, we're talking about this earlier, Phil and I, that we want to get people who are like building with Morales, have made really cool dApps. We want to get you on the show, talk to you about it, ask us, anything. and showcase your applications as well. That's really important that we support our community. So without further ado, episode 1 of the Morales Community Podcast. Are you ready, Phil?
Let's go.
Let's go. Okay, so just to get kicked off, there's a few things. We want to kind of outline why we're here. Like, why have we decided to do this? It all came about when the Grand Mage called me up to his, I don't know, what would we call it, his magic room, and sat me around the round table, and he said, we need to start a community podcast. So straight away, I reached out to Phil. So there's a few things we're going to do each week. We want to like kind of showcase what's new at Morales, because we're pushing a lot of features all the time. I don't know, is it like even clear to you, Phil, like with so many things go live all the time? Are you on top of like what's going on at Morales all the time?
Well, I certainly try to be. But you raise an excellent point here, Bill. We are pushing out so many new enhancements and features that it's hard for even people who are working internally to keep track of it all. Part of what we're going to do here is sort all of that out for you. We're going to show you whether you're joining us for the very first time or whether you've been developing with Morales for a year already. We're going to show you how we join you in that journey and take you to the next level, whatever that is.
Nice. Okay. So another thing we want to do is we want to kind of talk about the industry in general. Like, it's a really new industry. There's a lot of change. And thankfully, like, we have the absolute expert, the research legend himself, Phil. Like, every week in Fika, he leads these. Fika, by the way, is like the social meeting we have once a week. Phil leads us, tells us everything he's learned this week, all about the new companies and new trends, everything. So we're going to have a lot of showcasing what's new in Web3, what's new in blockchain, and especially, obviously, what's new at Morales. We also want to have kind of like some tips and tricks about what's going on in Web3. So like whenever we make a really nice new feature, or like there's some really cool service, like maybe like rainbow kits or something, you know, like we want to kind of feature those sort of things and talk about them as well. Phil, you definitely be on the pulse with that. You got anything new this week for us? What's been going on Web3?
Absolutely. Let's get into that a little bit. So right now we're in the middle of Morales Cross Chronos Defining DeFi, which is a hackathon event where we're defining what DeFi is today together. And as developers, as coders, how do we define things? We define things through what we build, what we code, what we deploy, and maybe even at the end of the day, what finds usage within the ecosystems that we subsist in, for lack of a better phrase there. So basically, let's take a really quick look at what that schedule looks like for next week, because we have a few extra workshops coming up. Even if you're not a part of this hackathon, you're still more than welcome to join these workshops. I think there's a lot of great information to help you in your Morales development journey, even if you're not a part of the hackathon, and that may prepare you for future hackathons, because hackathons are a big thing that we do here. We've done 4 hackathons already this year. This is the 4th.
Wow, so many.
And I'm looking to match or exceed that number of major community events again next year.
And what I love about our hackathons, like whenever I think I said this like on a previous stream, but whenever I got started in the industry, I would have done some hackathons, and like you were really lucky to be taking home a t-shirt. Like, you know, it was like a t-shirt or a sticker or something, but this is for hard cash prizes. Like, thank you to our partners on this as well. And like, we give out a lot of money too. Like, you can make a good living doing our hackathons. I think like it could definitely be a part or full-time job.
Well, that's absolutely right. You know, one of the things that we talk about at Morales, and it's in our core ethos, is that we are here to empower businesses through the #1 API provider for Web3, for blockchain, for all of these different new tech things that we work with in the world. Morales is your partner in blockchain and Web3 development, 100%. And it's through API usage that we provide some of the quickest and most efficient ways to access needed blockchain data.
And also great integrations with like the top Web2 providers. Like, we have like instant integration with Firebase now, which is just super sweet. Like, you can have your backend set up in a snap, integrate your Web3 with that. Easy, straight away to go.
Just a couple quick things on this exact hackathon that we're in. Now, we were saying we give out a lot during these hackathons, from sponsor money that we take in, some of it prizes through other connections that we make with VC investors and things like that. This particular hackathon, $165,000 or equivalent in prizes, both crypto and cash, and credits to different platforms. There's a full breakdown of each of these prize tracks provided by major ecosystems within Web3 and blockchain. Polygon, BNB Chain, and Phantom are each putting up very large prizes for this event. We also have some special bounties available through some of our interoperability partners. All of these solutions, Axelar, Covalent, multi-chain, are all fully compatible with Moralis, and you can use these to achieve cross-chain functionality in the dApps that you're deploying right now. Very exciting stuff. So if there are any questions on this, go ahead and reach out to us in the on the Discord server. There's a link in the chat, and you can reach me there or other people from our community engineers team with additional questions.
For anybody on audio format, what would we Google to land here, Phil?
Oh, absolutely. If you're listening on audio right now, moralis.io-google/hackathon. I'm sorry, /Google-hackathon. And that will bring you right to the page. You can also Google Moralis and Google Hackathon, and you'll get there that way as well.
And definitely, if you're listening, go and have a look at the site. Like, shout out to the design team, the content team, and Vadi for the WordPress team, because this site looks awesome. Like, this page looks beautiful. Like, it's really, really different and very visually stunning.
Been getting a couple of questions. When is the next Hackathon event coming up? I don't have hard details on that yet, but I promise you they will be shared on this show as soon as they are available. What I can assure you is we will have a hackathon in Q1 of 2023. And as soon as I have registration details and links available, those will be shared. In the meantime, our main focus is on defining DeFi, making that event tremendously successful. And that can happen in a number of different ways, which we'll get into here in a little bit. Another resource I want to show everybody, if you're joining us for the first time, is GatherTown. GatherTown's a town hall meeting space that we use to meet up on a regular basis during hackathons. We're also going to start using this after our podcasts to meet with you, talk about what we talked about, get you started on your next project or whatever it is. We're even happy to talk about philosophy and other topics which may relate to the future of our development or life on Earth even. Because we really do believe that blockchain and Web3 has the power to change the world and to empower normal, good people to build amazing things that leave their mark on society and that make life better for all of us. All these things are possible with blockchain.
And me and Phil also hang out and play Mario Kart online, so we might even organize some online games via GatherTown as well, if anybody's an avid Mario Kart player.
Absolutely. We want to meet with you guys. We want to commune with you and show you that we're one of you, because we really are. Moralis was built to serve everybody who wants to develop in Web3 and make that journey and make that growth. So if you're starting as a solo developer, wonderful. Now, if you're involved with a large organization that wants to use Moralis, no problem. We're ready for you. And we're ready to
enterprise grade APIs. That's what we're all about now.
But I think maybe the most exciting thing that this podcast is talking about is how do you go from being that solo developer to the mind and voice behind a major, world-renowned product? Because we've seen that in crypto. In fact, we see that every single year in crypto. And I really do believe that we will see Moralis-powered dApps which make that leap, which go from being unheard of to being world known. And then that's something that's really possible in this industry. So we want to help you to discover that journey for yourself.
And I actually think like a lot of that, like we keep saying the word community, we maybe sort of started a drinking game at the start. Every time we say community, you have a drink of a beer. But I think a lot of that is built around community. Like that's why I love so much about Web3 and so much about Moralis. Like whenever people build a dApp, they share it in our Discord. Everybody tries it out, shares it on socials. And these things blew up super quick with like zero marketing budget. And like even bigger than that, I just love the community so much because like I've worked in lots of different dev jobs. And I've always felt like that kind of like weird extrovert guy, that everybody's like, okay, Bill's a bit weird, like he's a nice guy, but he's a bit strange. But I really felt like I kind of found my people when I came to join Moralis, like internally, like within the team, and then externally with our community and Discord. So it really is a super positive place for me. How do you feel about that, Phil?
Bill, you make a really good point there. And if you're listening at home or in the car, wherever you are, you may be having similar feelings right now. And I want to assure you that how you're feeling it's shared among the group. to want to work in emerging tech and to want to build something that's never existed before, you probably are going to be the type of person who maybe feels like you don't fit in all the time with the people around you, and don't let that discourage you, because that was one of the things that I experienced very heavily when getting into blockchain and Web3 full time, was that finally I was among people who were thinking similar to how I was thinking, and helped my mind to expand when I was exploring these concepts, rather than just pointing skepticism at me all the time. You know, we're here to encourage your dreams, because dreaming. I'm sorry, what was that, Bill?
Oh, I was saying, for sure, it's such a beautiful sentiment, man. That's really nice.
Well, and I really believe it too, at the end of the day, because if that's the same type of belief in me that Moralis had when I first started with the organization, before we were even called Moralis. It was about finding people who had passion for creating something amazing and following a new industry that we haven't even completely figured out yet. And by the time we figure it out, we're going to be moving on to the next big thing. So this is very much a join us in a lifetime journey, because people like me, Bill, Ivan, and Philip, our founders, we're on a lifetime journey in blockchain. And this is where we've made our vocation and we've hung our shingle. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because I want you to join us and do that with us and be part of that just the same as we are. Because the truth is that your lifetime career in blockchain is just around the corner if you're getting started with us with Moralis. And I really, truly believe that.
Beautiful words, Phil. Oh man, you always have a way of talking to my heart, buddy. Big time.
Well, did I also mention it's fun learning how to develop? Let me get into a couple of things here. I think this is later on our schedule, but I just want to dive into it because I think we're already along this track. Let me share with the folks here. I'm going to share my screen once again. If you're watching from home or listening from home, I'll describe what we're seeing here. We have some improvements to our Moralis.io main page, and it helps to really embody what we're all about these days. So unlocking the power of blockchain is such a great introduction to it, because that's what it is. When you're working with Moralis, you're building bridges. You're building bridges between the old internet and the new internet. And there's ways, and we'll get into these in a future podcast, but there's ways that we cultivate and generate true digital ownership in blockchain where it's never been possible before. And but just having that as a thing is not enough. We need to make it usable. We need to build the usable bridgeways that make it the same as Web 2, so that when your mom or your dad or your cousin or somebody who's never experienced this before starts with it for the first time, it's comfortable. It's just like what they remember from Web 2. And once we get to that point, that's when we're ready for mainstream adoption. So that's what, first and foremost, Moralis is here to empower you to build the future, to build the bridges that move Web 2 over into Web 3. But here, the second thing that we're here to do is to teach you what that's all about, not only in this podcast, but formally through our academy. Our academy, and I say this from experience, is the best resource for getting started in development worldwide today. I started developing through the Moralis Academy.
That's where you started?
That's right. I had been a network engineer since the early 2000s.
Amazing.
And I'd worked in a variety of different fields. I was even a cook for a time. And I first got into blockchain myself back in 2013, but I didn't start developing because I didn't know how. I'd never coded before. I didn't know JavaScript. I maybe knew the smallest amount of HTML, and that was it. And it wasn't until I joined the Moralis Academy that within 1 week, I was building my own website. I was integrating Web3 functions, and I was understanding the nuts and bolts of what we're working with in a way where I could start to experiment with it and develop my own ideas within the space. That's where we can get you to, and we can get you there quickly through the academy.
That's amazing. I had no idea you started there, man, because blockchain does seem like a dark art. I was well into programming when we found out about Ethereum and about blockchain, and you just looked at it and we're like, nah. There's no way humans can do that. That's for high level, superhumans. But yeah, that's amazing that you jumped on the academy, man.
Well, and I say that because I think that it really is something that's accessible to everybody. I was over 30 years old when I first coded, when I coded my first line of JavaScript. And I already had worked in other industries. I'd worked in sales, and I had established myself in small ways where I guess I didn't feel like I needed to learn these things until I got into blockchain. And I started to realize I could only go so far until I started to build some things myself. And I wanted to take that next step. And I didn't want my own education and skills to be a limitation. And so as soon as I accepted what at the time was under a different name, but now the Morales Academy as a partner in that, that's when I really started to make progress. And so I encourage you, if you're listening to this for the first time, if you've never coded a line of JavaScript before, if you think, oh, how could I ever bridge to Web3? I don't even know Web2 development. Do not let that discourage you. Oftentimes, the most exciting ideas come from the freshest people because you're bringing a perspective that nobody's ever had before. You're bringing your life experience into the realm, and that's valuable too. So don't underestimate that and take advantage of this. It's as simple as going to Morales.io and then selecting Learn. And that'll bring you right to academy.morales.io, where you can sign up and begin your own journey with us today. Now, maybe you're already past that. Maybe you're already building with us and you're wondering, or maybe you're doing something for this hackathon right now. And you're wondering, after I get my first 100 users, I'm going to need more capabilities from my APIs. I'm going to need faster response. I'm going to need more bandwidth. I'm going to need all sorts of different things. And how do I know that I'll be ready for that? Well, you have the confidence that when you're working with Morales, you're working with a tool that is not only production ready, but in production. Our APIs power things like MetaMask, like other tools that you're already using in Web3 that are high-end production applications. When you're ready to take your dApp there, we're already experienced in how to run your infrastructure and provide the things that you need for your infrastructure right away. So cool. It's a start to finish solution. I want to hand over to Bill again here because Bill, I cut you off a little bit, but I want to hear a little bit more about your web development journey.
Oh, wow. I mean, I'm an old man, Phil. That's a big journey.
The reason why is we've established at this point that no matter where you are in your journey, Morales is equipped to help you. But that's a new thing, like to actually have a development partner that's giving you tools as well at the beginning of your journey. Now, I had that experience and it was amazing, but I understand that people who started a decade or so ago had a different experience. And I want to hear about how was that compared to, what we just described.
Wow, yeah, I mean, I guess kind of like night and day different. If anyone's listening to this who's like thinking like, wow, like I can't code, just to let you know, like at the time I was working in a warehouse and had been working in various warehouses or bars for like nearly a decade at this time. I went to do a university course, hated coding so much, was like, I can't do this. Terrible teacher. That was the only reason. Then I went to see a movie called The Social Network. Have you seen that, Phil?
Oh yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah. It's about the guy who makes Facebook. And like, I didn't have any ambition to make Facebook, but the fact that like these dorm kids did this together in like a room and they built this like, industry titan, like it just got me so excited. Like it was like what punk rock was, in the early 80s, kids in bedrooms playing music, making a band, becoming famous. And I thought, what if these kids in a dorm room can do it? I can do it. But it was a different ecosystem. Like you touched on it there perfectly. Like there was no Morales Academy. YouTube was just filled with like field videos. I'm sure Phil's old enough to remember this, but there was no kind of like good education really on YouTube at all, which there really is now. Also, the Morales YouTube completely full of like really amazing resources. But yeah, I had to go home and use a little thing called a torrent engine, and I downloaded. I don't even know if I should mention the company's name in case they come at me. An education company who was bought by a larger education company. I downloaded some of their tutorials, HTML, CSS. I found WordPress and I started like hacking together some themes. And I tried to learn JavaScript and man, it was hard. Like it was very like early JavaScript, like quite abstract. And then I found jQuery, and that made JavaScript make sense. Like ES6 JavaScript or ES7 JavaScript that we use now is basically like, it has all of the features that jQuery had to make JavaScript easy a long, long time ago. And it was just a school of hard knocks, like just kept building things and getting stuck and going to Stack Overflow and getting abuse from people who thought that I was stupid, and, you know, trying over and over and over and over again until like I eventually got there and finally got a job in the industry. And it's just been a crazy 12 years since I walked out of that cinema with my wife and turned around to her. I was like, I'm going to be a coder. Like that was 12 years ago now. And it's been a wild ride, but never have I been happier in any job than it sounds like they're paying us to say this, but they're not. Phil and I are doing this for fun. Like, I've never been happier in any job than in Moralis. What's been your worst job, Phil? I'd be really interested to hear about that.
I'll tell you that in a second. I did wanted to comment on what you were saying there quickly, though, because it sounds like, so in your journey, you were pulling tools from all over the place, and you're striving to become a developer, but you don't even have the money to buy the educational tools because there's like, you know, a multitude of different barriers to entry with learning the different languages and things like that. Exactly. But that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Joining the Moralis Academy in order to learn coding is a one-stop shop. We will bring you into the Web3 world from nothing, and it can be, you know, your sole mentor in that process. Now, at a certain point, you're going to want to start reaching out in the forums and Discord, other places, because that's when you're getting into that heavy development. And if you're already there, please do reach out to us because we want to hear about what you're developing too. One of my favorite things about working with Moralis, and I have the privilege of working in a role where I get to do this pretty much every day, is I get to hear about all the projects you guys are building. And I try to give out ideas during live streams and stuff like that, but I'll tell you, the ideas that you guys bring are better than the ones that I usually share. And it's going to be a really exciting time seeing what we put together at the end of this hackathon, which is, you know, very much the culmination of what we're talking about here. Now, to answer your question,
yes,
the worst job we want to know. I ever had. So most of the jobs I've had were pretty good. Because I've done a lot of different things, sales, you know, once I found blockchain, you know, that was the one thing that I stuck with for years, for really like a decade now, that I never gave it up because I saw it not only fascinating, but extremely useful to, building something that's better than what runs our life nowadays, or how we keep our life organized nowadays. I mean, blockchain really can improve a lot of these things. You know, 3-point accounting being certainly not the least of them. But the worst job I ever had was probably changing oil at an oil change shop.
That sounds nasty.
It wasn't. So I got into it because initially I was thinking I would be like selling the services, but then I ended up being the person who was actually like turning the wrench underneath the car. And I think I only did it for a couple of months. And it was because at the same time, I was also a substitute teacher. And so I was doing it during the summer when I couldn't substitute teach in the US. There's no school during the summer. And I quickly went back to substitute teaching, which I actually enjoyed, but just didn't pay very much. And so you can see, you know, for me, it was this long journey of really feeling like I had been wasting time. Like, where, like, I felt like, you know, why did I waste time doing this oil change thing? I sold cars before that. Why did I waste time selling cars? I was a kitchen manager for a while. Why did I spend time as a kitchen manager? It's nothing to do with technology. And maybe that's where my real passion is. I don't know if I was even sure. But then when I got into emerging tech, and that's what blockchain is. Blockchain is emerging tech. It's technology which is more powerful than we're able to demonstrate to the mainstream right now, because we don't have the beautiful, simple UI. Like, you can't open up your banking app, press one button, and all of a sudden any amount of money is in Bitcoin and in your cryptocurrency wallet. I mean, that you could consider that maybe full adoption if it was at that point, or maybe even a step further than that, where you have a lending option in there as well. You know, we're not at that point yet. We're at the point where you have like maybe one element of that. You've got to figure out how to get your money there yourself first. You've got to figure out how to do this next step. Well, what type of people do you think it takes to take an industry which is underdeveloped, barely invented, and in super active development? Well, it takes people with ideas which are outside of what are continually propagated within cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
And now, don't get me wrong, I love the ecosystems that we work in. I love using all of the chains that exist right now, with really no exception. I think the one maybe I'm most critical, the chains I'm most critical of, just to put it right out there.
Here we go, hot take.
Maybe something like Cardano, or and I've seen like a little bit kind of slow movement with Clayton, even though it's been around for a while. Now, that said, I own assets on both of those chains, along with just about every other smart contract ecosystem you can think of, because I love testing out blockchains and I love playing with Web3. And I love seeing how there's a difference between, lending or trading on this exchange versus this exchange. But how are we going to take that fragmented world that only a super nerd like me or Bill would love and turn that into something that everybody would love? Well, the answer is through new ideas. And so take everything that you've done and bring it to the table and be bold when you're sharing those new ideas, and don't contribute to the recycling of old ideas unless they're good ideas. Sometimes we have good ideas, and so let's keep using them. But when we have an idea that we're not sure and we're still testing yet, be bold to be that person who tries it differently, because you never know where that'll lead you. And it may lead you just to an explanation of why the way you were thinking didn't work. But that knowledge, that journey, that's the type of thing that takes you to the next level. And it makes you the type of developer that not only strives to build something, but understands what other people are building and understands how what others are building fits into this greater puzzle. Some of the most revered minds in tech today, like Bill Gates, will frequently talk about how the thing they value the most about their own mind is the ability to take things and just make connections that they can, kind of like when we're building code and we've got one function in our brain and we've got another one over here and we haven't connected them yet, but we're going to, so long as nobody says anything at all to us in the next 15 minutes. And it's that concentration and heavy focus into building new pathways that I really believe many of you can do, and you don't even know it yet. So hopefully this podcast and the ones to come help to give you that push to get started, because
Nice.
it's all you at the end of the day. Just like when your one of your parents was behind you on the bicycle, and at a certain point they're not there anymore, and you're just riding. Let us be that for you, because we'll get you to the point where you're going even beyond what we've imagined.
Well, Phil, you made a very nice point there about getting started, and I have a very interesting thing to share about the new Ethereum boilerplate. But first of all, I have to admit something. I am a huge narcissist. When you said the industry leader, Bill Gutt, I was like, is he going to say Bill Gilmore? I was like, oh my God, Phil. So obviously I have serious ego problems, but yeah, Bill Gates, slightly more industry leader than me.
Well, if I had said the highly esteemed, fearless front-end guild leader of Morales Web3, then I would be talking about Bill Gilmore, of course.
Nice. Okay, maybe one day. So yes, Phil made a very good point about it's all about getting started, right? It really is all about getting started, and the best place to start with Web3, with blockchain development, is none other than the new and improved Ethereum boilerplate. I want to take a little moment of silence, not silence, but anyway, a little moment of respect to give Dimmy, or Yomo, as he's known in our community, a shout out for this. He's worked very, very long hours to completely reformat and rebuild the Ethereum boilerplate with the new Morales API suite. So shout out to Dimmy, or Yomo, as you may know him. Great work. If you're listening, just Google Ethereum boilerplate. It's good to go. Like, all you need to do is fork it for yourself, download it if you prefer, run npm install. Maybe I'll do a demo of this next week, actually, where you just run npm install, and that's it. Like, you have a clean website application ready to go. You can log in with your wallet. You can see all of your NFTs that are in there. You can see all of your transactions. You can see all of your balances. So basically, like, if you wanted to start building in Web3, and building with Morales, it's all done for you now. Like it even has night and dark mode, which we're struggling right now on front end to bring you to the ad for the admin panel. So everything is ready to go in the new Ethereum boilerplate. I'm super impressed with your work, Yomo. I'm blown away. I'm really looking forward to contributing as well. I downloaded it like last weekend to have a bit of a play with it and learn some new tricks for it. So yeah, I'm really blown away. Have you had a chance to look at it yourself, Phil?
I haven't looked at the new version yet, but I do want to remind all of our listeners, Ethereum boilerplate is a open source solution that is cultivated by Morales internally. It is not only eligible, but encouraged as a starting point when developing dApps for Morales hackathons. So if you're one of those folks who is wondering, how do I start with the Ethereum boilerplate.
Yep.
And I think you're going to be surprised with how far you get in one day.
There's a README file there which tells you everything you need to know to get set up and running. And if you have a MetaMask or any other wallet that you can sign in with, you're good to go. Like it's all already done for you.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, Bill, the Ethereum boilerplate, while it's called the Ethereum boilerplate, is compatible with all EVM chains.
Yeah, all that we support in all the chains that we support in Morales, we're a cross-chain API solution. So yep, we're good to go with all of the chains that we support.
That would of course include BNB chain, Polygon, and Phantom, the three of which are lead sponsors in our ongoing hackathon right now.
It sounds like you're almost halfway to winning a prize there, Phil. Ethereum boilerplate plus idea equals prize money.
You know, that's something I'll get into this more next week, because we're still going to be doing the hackathon next week and it'll be the perfect time then. But next week's going to talk a lot about like wrapping up your MVPs and getting something in, because there's two reasons why you definitely absolutely want to submit something for the hackathon. Number one, I'm toying with the idea of allowing users to claim a POAP even if you missed the midway check-in, so long as you submit a final form. I'll have to figure out something special for people who did both, because I do want you to be specially rewarded if you took the time to do both. But I'm toying with that idea. The other idea, or the other advantage that you'll have, is any project that's submitted but does not win is going to be on our short list for a Morales powered showcase in the near future. Now, I don't know exactly when I'm going to launch that, but my goal is to start those before the end of the year.
Very cool. So like that's going to be like another, we do it on this or we do it on another stream. You're going to like showcase everybody's applications.
So Morales powered showcases will be distinct of this podcast. However, I think we're going to keep them very much connected. So we're going to be talking about Morales powered showcases on this podcast. Nice. We're going to be letting you guys know when they'll be airing, but they'll actually air separately. And during the way that I'm thinking, and I'm still in planning on this, so feel free to reach out to me with ideas if you have suggestions or thoughts. But my idea is that I would go on a live stream with one of you, and you would have a chance to demonstrate your dApp live and talk about your roadmap, and then finally provide some links visually. We won't be posting any links in the chat or description, but we can show them on the screen for your dApp so people can actually try it out live. If it's game or something that we can easily demo multiplayer, then let me know about that, because we can do something special there in those cases. You know, maybe invite Bill and a couple other people from our team to do like a live
exactly
demo.
What I was going to say. And game ones, please call me for game ones. I love video games.
Yeah, absolutely. And if it's a DeFi app, then maybe we do some live testing or something like that. I really want to cater these specifically to your dApp and make sure that it makes sense for what you're showing us. And then also there'll be some quality control there as well with our community engineers, which is mainly designed to make sure that your dApp is ready. Nobody will be told an absolute no. Everybody will be told, you know, here's what to improve before we showcase, things like that. Because at the end of the day, if you're developing with Morales, you're on our team. You know, you're in the club already. 100%. Yeah, 100% in the club, in the DAO, as we used to call it. using the older term. But either way, you're one of us. So don't feel like there's no barrier to entry there. Like this is a journey that we're taking together.
I think we're running like a bit over, Phil. Like maybe we should take some questions. But first of all, I just wanted to give a quick, I just saw in the chat, shout out to Tajan, who's been working on Web3 Kit with me. Shout out to Semi Deus. I recognize you a lot from the forum as well. Matt as well. Hi everybody. Thanks for watching. Do we have any questions you want to do this week, Phil, before we wrap up?
Yeah. So thank you for letting me know, because we are a little long on time. But I do want to at least take these questions that we already have from our Discord from this past week. The first one's from Stash in Discord. Hey, looking forward to this. I'm pretty new to React. I set up the Morales token gated website. Wow. I'm now exploring create React app. Is there a good tutorial that goes over the Web3 connections, creating/editing UI for the app, adding pages, and more?
Okay. I think I'll grab that one for us, Phil. I would say that Create React app was a really, really great way to start building applications. And I mean, it still is. It just kind of runs a little bit slow now. So I would definitely, if you're going to jump into building a new app from scratch, I would probably check out Vite. That's Vite. It means fast in French, which is basically, it's like kind of the same as Create React app, but super, super fast. Like it loads basically instantly. So yeah, I would definitely check that out if you want to build from scratch. Having said that, who wants to build from scratch? I think I would definitely head over to the Ethereum boilerplate, take a clone of that, and just have everything that you need to start building in blockchain with Morales' new API suite as well. It's powered by the Morales SDK. So yeah, I would definitely check out the Ethereum boilerplate. And as far as for learning more, Phil, like where would you jump on for learning more about that building?
So one thing I recommend is taking a look at the dApps that are out there. If you think that it's coincidence that most AMMs look like Uniswap, it's not.
What? I'm going to ask you a question. What's an AMM, Phil? Just in case anyone's not
automatic market maker. So automatic market maker is an on-chain exchange, for those of you who don't know. It works just like basically protocol controlled decentralized exchange market. You have
a big word.
You have pool of two assets, and when any person or any account contributes one of the assets, they receive the other asset in proportion based on the amount that's in the pool and how their contribution to the pool affected the distribution. I know that's like a complicated explanation, but that's basically how it works. You can read a ton on AMMs online. And there's different models. The AMM V1 is the one you'll hear me talk about the most because it's the simplest to explain. V2 and V3 are derivatives of that system that imply weighting based on how the distribution of the pool shifts. Super interesting stuff. But back to what we were saying, when you're looking at these different on-chain DEXs, these AMMs, you're going to find that the interface for them is like really, really similar no matter where you go. Why is that? Because the interface makes sense and people know how it works. You don't want to change something dramatically that's already working unless you have a good reason. So if you're introducing a completely new system and you want people to know immediately, this is not how Uniswap works, it's different, then make it look different, because then they'll immediately assume it is somehow different. If it's the same and on a different chain or tweaking something small, like the way that the pool, the way that trades function within there and the way that the distribution shifts, something small but functionally pretty much the same, then you might want to consider the advantages that you're going to have using a well-known look. Because then experienced DeFi users, which still make up the majority of DeFi volumes, folks like, and the reason for that isn't because we're like somehow the only ones who can use DeFi. It's that because we're using it in such frequency, we just completely eclipse the others. Somebody like Bill or I just checking out a dApp, we might run 10 transactions in an hour or more. And we're totally comfortable doing that because we're easily able to evaluate the dApp and figure out, okay, this is what it's doing, so on and so forth. You can shortcut your users on that by making your UI look similar to what to one that is already existing.
Nice. Phil, I was going to say in the middle of that, you continually blew my mind, man. Like you have a crazy like pool of knowledge about blockchain. It's just insane. Like, I don't know how you could have absorbed so much information in such a short time. It's really impressive.
I'm just a savant, Bill. You ever seen that episode of Always Sunny in Philadelphia where the character Charlie, who's it's like everybody loves Charlie in that show, but he's a little bit funny, like he thinks different. And in one episode, they go into a music shop and he just starts playing the piano. And then they're like, I didn't know you could play the piano. How are you doing that? And he's like, I don't know, man. Keyboards just make sense to me. And that's how I feel about blockchain. I don't really know. Blockchains just make sense to me.
You just found your niche. You found your community, Phil. You found your place. Okay, before we wrap up, will we take one more question then?
Yeah, one more question. I'm not seeing a whole lot in the chat, but sure. We do have one more prepared here, and then we'll go ahead and meet on over in GatherTown here in a little bit too. Let me just check when that is scheduled for. Okay, so it says we're in GatherTown right now. We'll wait 10 minutes after the stream and meet everybody up over there who wants to discuss more, ask more questions, things like that.
Full disclaimer. I can't meet in GatherTown. My wife got some very good news today.
Oh, no, you're okay.
We're gonna go for dinner and celebrate that. So I really next week I'll be there to talk to people. But yeah, my wife got a new job today, so we're gonna go out and have dinner together and celebrate. So yay!
Well, congratulations to her.
In a Web3 company, Phil. A Web3 company. Wow.
Even though Bill won't be available during this session, I've got Siegfried backstage here. Siegfried, I hope you don't mind if I put you on live stream here real quick. Siegfried's going to be with us in GatherTown, also answering questions, helping with dApps, giving ideas. So definitely will be some help there. Please stop by if you have the time.
All right. I'm going to be there.
All right. Perfect. Let's move to that last question here real quick. This one's from Elon's Dev in Discord. Is the core Moralis product now the EVM API and Streams API?
Yeah, well, I know what he's getting at. We kind of pivoted a little bit earlier in the year, but yeah, basically we're enterprise grade APIs as a service, like huge companies like Phil mentioned earlier. Some we can't even speak about right now because it isn't exactly public knowledge, but huge companies like MetaMask are using us as their Web3 solution. Like we are APIs as a service and we're scalable, we're ready for market. And yeah, it's just a new and exciting time for Moralis. And yeah, our new Streams API is phenomenal. Like, and there's a beautiful user interface that's been built around that. I'm always going to come from a front end angle at you. So I really want to shout out my boy Abhinav. Just to give you a little bit of background on Abhinav, actually. Abhinav found us through the Web3 UI kit, a product that we're rebuilding right now for Moralis 2.0. He started contributing there just because he wanted to. He continually did a great job. We then got him to work for us part-time. He's now come to work for us full-time. This guy is doing amazing work, and he built the entire front end of the Streams API that you see in the admin Moralis. So shout out to Abhinav, a lot of respect for you. And in answer to your question, Elon's Dev, valued community member and close friend of mine. Yes, we are enterprise-grade Web3 API as a service. Oh, there he is.
Also, a special congratulations to your wife, Bill.
Oh, thank you so much, Elon. Yeah, she's. I don't know if I should mention the name of the company. We'll talk about that maybe next week. But she will be a fantasy writer for a Web3 gaming company. So I'm very excited for her. Also, hi to my mom, who's probably watching. By the way, hi, mom.
Wonderful. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining us on the first ever Moralis Web3 Community Podcast. We're going to be doing these every single week, and if we ever miss a week, we're going to let you know and then of course be back the very next week. But the goal will be to do this every single week that we possibly can. Keep in touch with you guys as you develop and start to grow this together. This podcast can become whatever you guys want it to be. And if there's something that you'd like talked about on the stream that you'd like me or Bill to bring up, reach out to us directly. I'm always available in Discord and happy to talk with you, as is Siegfried and Spencer, my two excellent agents on events and in research. extremely knowledgeable on blockchain, very knowledgeable about Moralis and the events that we have going on a regular basis. So reach out to those guys, ask them questions. They're here to help you too. I'm going to see everybody in GatherTown in a few minutes, and have a wonderful day.
Yay! Thanks, everyone. Good job, Phil. Later.